Hello and welcome to the Temporal Three podcast. My name is Bryan McLane and I will be your host today. I'm joined by Charles Aulner, my co-host.
Hello.
And also we're joined by a special guest, Mr. Bryan Williams, co-host of the Dope and Tape Show. Welcome, Bryan. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I love fire alarm. Don't know a whole lot about it. You have to really do it every day and have, I guess, a career in being uh, taught, throughout your career and then learn and grow. And that's something I've had a little bit of experience on, but mainly sprinkler. But I'm excited to come and talk to you guys and hopefully we can help each other.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Bryan, tell us a little bit about your experience and about the Dope and Tape Show.
Yeah, so my experience started when I guess I was about 17. Um, and I was just kind of doing summer work, and I would go and I hang pipe a little bit on like a tenant finish, but mainly I helped inspectors. I pulled wire on some fire alarm jobs, and it was basically just put your hard hat on and just be quiet, don't talk to nobody, just do what you're told, and until you're 18, so I was a helper for a while, and I told my dad, "Hey, I'm ready to get started in this full time. I want this to be my career." And he said, "Well, you're not going to come work as Todd's son, so you're not. You got to go somewhere else and learn your stripes." So he sent me over to a contractor here in Atlanta with a foreman that used to work with him, and then he took me under his wing. And then the agreement was I get my backflow certification, and then I get my level 1 and then FPA 25 water-based inspections and testing, and then I can come work with him. So at that
Wow.
time, yeah, so it took me about 6 months to do that. And I went over there. My dad was working at a contractor here in Atlanta. He stepped down. I don't know the position he was in, but then he was my inspection foreman for about 2 years. Super strict, really hard on me, really set me up for the future. Yeah, it really did. And it gave me, um, I guess the inspection, it showed me how really important it is and how to take it super serious. It's not just a job. Um, and then I took that throughout my entire career. I was an inspector for about a decade and then worked on all kind of projects. And one large contractor, I did large contracts. I did a short term and like a military contract, and I worked with a team. Most of that I was a team lead, and I would kind of organize and be the spokesperson for the team with whatever the facility that we're inspecting. The military contract was a fire alarm contract, which I was the sprinkler guy for the fire alarm guys. So also I was like their do whatever monkey if they don't need me. So I was the low man on the totem pole in that crew. Yes, that was about 6 months. But a good time, a good time. One of the fire alarm guys, for security reasons, we had to switch hotels like every week. And so I lived with him in hotels for about 6 months, and he's still doing fire alarm special hazard. And I don't know,
Wow.
I call it, we see each other as family. So great experience as an inspector. I miss it. I do. Then I got into sales, operations, project management, foreman for sprinkler jobs, new construction, and now doing dope and tape.
Tell us a little bit about Dope and Tape.
Yeah. So what was I doing? I was doing sales, project management, all that stuff, and I sold some service work to a hotel over here in Kennesaw, Georgia. And what was the problem was there was a low pressure issue, and then um, and then we lost Charles.
He'll be back.
But yeah, there's a low pressure issue which would cause the pump to kick on momentarily, or the jockey pump, and then it would set off a water flow from the fluctuation of water. And then the fire department would be called, and then now they're being threatened to be shut down, or not even shut down, but
Fine.
letters and fines and all that stuff. So I sent about 3 texts, and two of them couldn't figure out what was going on. Of course, I had to send 3 invoices to the customer, and it wasn't fixed. So of course they were livid, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm coming. So I get over there, I'm turning all the valves, I'm testing everything. And then I call on Instagram. There's a call feature in the messenger, Blue Collar Bobby, who's now my co-host. And I
Hmm.
told him the problem. He was on the phone with me probably for a little over an hour. We figured it
Wow.
out. Yeah, it was the suction side check valve of the jockey pump that was creating all the havoc. And
Wow.
later that night, I called him back. I then had his cell phone, and I told him, "Hey, thank you so much for helping me. I really appreciate it. You got me out of a bind." And you know, our industry has that problem. We have the problem where we can't just call anybody in the world. We can only call the people that we know, and that could be small. Like if you're first year, second year, or like 5 and under, like your little toolbox of the people you can call with knowledge of many years is limited, and it's only
Sure.
limited to what they've seen in your area too.
Right.
So we started a Dope and Tape show, not for a podcast. The podcast, of course, is the way that we can bring everybody together, but it's for a community. We wanted a community in fire protection. So on social media, like for example Instagram, we have a growing following of other fire sprinkler guys and fire alarm guys that post what they're doing every day. They tag us. We communicate back and forth. We have a Discord, which is free, but you would have to get the link from somebody that's in it. Uh, and it's about, I want to say it's about 150 to 200 people in there, all fire
Wow.
protection. So it's a safe place that someone can go and someone can ask any question that they want and not be a jerk. If anybody's a jerk, they're gone immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't say, "Hey, calm down, please don't say it again." No, you're just out of there. That way the apprentices can ask whatever question. There's no dumb questions. They can ask away. And we've
Absolutely.
been doing it for about 3 years. We're number one podcast, and definitely live podcast. We could say that because we're the only one. And so yeah, it's been a great ride. I love it, and I'm excited for the future. I do think that this is the future.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brian, I have a couple of questions I'd like to. Oh, crap.
Yeah,
There are
two
two
fronts, huh?
Brians on this call. Not just one, it's Brian
Yeah. Which
squared.
Brian are you talking to? I
Yeah,
assume you're talking to our guest.
guest Brian, I have a couple of
Yeah,
questions for you. First
absolutely.
of all, in my years of training, I've done a lot of training for people in Georgia. Uh, you don't sound like you're from Georgia. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I know. I get that all the time. I don't know. I was a boxer, and my nose has been broken
Wow.
a lot of times, and it's all messed up. I still need to get surgery, and probably makes my voice a little bit nasally. So I think
Wow.
that might be a reason.
Wow. Well, how many followers do you have on Dope and Tape?
Dope and Tape. We are almost at 2,000 on YouTube, which
Wow,
is
that's
very
fantastic.
yeah, it's incredible on YouTube, and it's all fire protection people. So the pool is small, as you know. But yeah, it's great. And then the people who do follow, their passion is in fire protection, because if it's not, they're not going to listen to fire protection stuff outside of work. There's a lot of people that see this just as a job, and that's fine. But having 2,000 people in a small industry like us, we feel like that's super successful.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
I also have a question on, is there an initiation process for sprinkler guys? Do you have to drink a certain amount of sprinkler water or something to be official?
Well, each state requires certain things. Like down here in the South, you have to have a nice set. But I don't know if hazing is becoming a thing in the past, with people being softer. But definitely in my day, yeah, a lot of yelling. My foreman, when I first started, I don't think he ever said my name. He said other things. I had angle iron. I've had all threat thrown at me. I've had been yelled at. So there's still some initiation for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we do have an
Oh.
initiation on the fire alarm side. We consider you're not a real fire alarm tech until you've been electrocuted by a 120-volt fire alarm. Then you're considered a real tech. And
And
if
I
you
Great.
think
survived, of
Bryan
course.
meets that
I
requirement.
I hit that. I hit that. So I guess I'm a fire alarm guy.
And then
It
what about
sounds
NICET certification? How important is that for y'all on the sprinkler side?
As far as NAFED?
Yeah.
nice.
NICET.
Oh, NICET. Okay, so NICET is, well, in the Southeast, it's very important. So you have NICET, and then also there is another there's another certification course that that was accepted in Georgia, where I live, that came from Florida, and I think some other states did it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. My certifications is with NICET. So in Georgia, fire alarm side, you do not need a NICET to operate. I can hire an 18-year-old kid and make him a fire alarm tech, except for 2 counties in Georgia that require a level 1. Fire sprinkler, you have to have a level 1 with supervision to do layout and design for sprinkler, and then a level 2 in hand. So that's 2 years of 2 years of on the job training with the level 2 in NFPA 25 in order to be an inspector. So it's very important for you to get your certifications. Education is huge, and we push education on our show as well. It's huge, and to be honest with you, in fire protection, it is super affordable. So it's really like, are you going to go out and get it or not?
Right. Absolutely. It sounds like that you have a passion for training, and it sounds like in the sprinkler side, just like in the fire alarm side, that we are very passionate about training. That's the way you grow people, that you bring them in as
1000%.
how
Yes.
you started out. And I think it's an excellent career path for anybody who's willing to put in the work. I always tell newbie fire alarm people, if you are halfway decent at what you do, you will always have a job. I mean, it's a great career path. It's one of those. It is a trade, and it's a trade that will invest in you and train you and make you better. And as long as you're halfway decent at it, you're always going to have work.
No, I agree. I agree. But knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. And then you always have to. And what I tell the people who come to me for mentorships or anybody that will listen, you have to ask yourself, what's next? And that what next usually starts with education. For example, I'm going for my level 3 in inspections. I don't need it, but I would, I want to go down that path, and that's part of my what's next. I did reach out to you guys and got a NTC Black Book for level 3, so I can practice my questions. Back in the day, I want to say that, now I feel like I could say that, since I'm over
Yep.
a decade. I could say, back in the day, I had the NTC Black Book that I used to fill out my paperwork for NICET. I had practice questions, and I used it heavily. I passed it around. It is beat up. It looks like an old Bible, it's been beat up and written in and Post-its, and yeah. So it's good
Well,
stuff.
that's great. Well, I'm glad you're getting a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah.
And fire
Or worth the
protection
money.
is a code driven industry. So that education aspect that you're talking about is so important. Certification shows that we have the knowledge required in the industry as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And there's no gray area. For example, if you look at um, like what lawyers have to deal with, they pull from law, they pull from code as well, but there are some ways that you can view that law differently and twist it, and it could be a little bit of a gray area sometimes, especially when you're presenting it in court. But with us, it's black and white. I've been to court several times for some customers, and I would say quoted our code, and it is that, and it's black and white, and there's no gray area at all, which I think that I'm really proud of that.
And like you said, Bryan, knowledge is power. Being aware of those code requirements is so important in the life safety industry.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate the code segue. Let's talk about code. One of the code requirements in the IBC and NFPA 101 as well is sprinkler supervision. And 101 is in section 3.5 and section 9.7. In the IBC, it's 903.4. and it requires that a sprinkler system be certified. So this is where we on the fire alarm side are going to be interacting with our brother trade on the sprinkler side and providing that interconnection. And if there's a fire alarm system in the building, pretty straightforward. The sprinkler guys will put in the flow switches and the supervisory devices will connect to them. If there's not a fire alarm system in the building, we may end up putting in a dedicated function fire alarm system, which sometimes called the sprinkler supervisory system, which will, because sprinkler monitoring, according to both 101 and IBC, means it's reporting to a supervising station, which is kind of out. I always say electricity and water don't mix. And we need to work with our fellow trades and understand what their concerns are. And there's certainly an opportunity for both of us to make money on it. I've found generally that most sprinkler contractors don't want to mess with the electrical stuff, and certainly most fire alarm people don't want to mess with the sprinkler stuff. But we can certainly work together on that kind of thing. There's another interesting way that we can work together because in NFPA 13 there is local water flow alarm requirements for systems with more than 20 sprinklers. And there is the option of a mechanical water flow alarm, a water gong, but there's also an electric option as well. And with the electric option, if we're going to do sprinkler monitoring, we're putting in a dedicated function fire alarm system. We might as well put an outdoor horn on it or outdoor horn strobe and make it an electrically indicated system. Bryan, from your experience, do you see more water gongs or more electric notification appliances?
Well, you still have water motor gongs, but I see those mainly in industrial environments. For if there's a requirement or they can't have the electrical hookup for whatever reason. But I believe that water motor gongs, as far as a whole, outside of those special requirements, I think electrically that's the future, and that's what I like to see because I can hear it and I don't have to clean it out when it gets all gummed up. I feel like it's more reliable over time.
Well, as I mentioned, the connection has to occur anyway for the monitoring. We might as well carry it on and say, look, you guys can put in the water gong, but we're happy to put in. And then we have a horn. If we put a horn strobe, we have audible and visible notification. One common misconception on the fire alarm side about the water gong or about the exterior notification appliance is that it's for the benefit of the building occupants, and it's not. It's actually for the benefit of the fire department because, as you mentioned, in industrial, they drive up and there's 10 buildings. Well, which building has a sprinkler system going off? We know because of the indication from the water gong or the indication from the horn or horn strobe. Charles, you've worked in the field extensively. What is your take on that topic?
Some AHJs want that outdoor notification appliance installed, some don't. And on occasion, you'll have an AHJ who wants to apply notification standards from NFPA 72 for that outdoor device, which is not appropriate at all. It's not
Right.
used for occupant notification. It's outside notification for, as you indicated, probably the fire department. Doesn't have to follow the same rules that our interior devices do. Bryan, would
Absolutely.
you agree with that?
Yeah, the only thing that I warn the fire alarm people about is it has to be listed as for outdoor use. So there are models that are specifically listed for outdoor use. You can't take a regular old interior strobe or horn strobe and put it outside, even if it's on a weatherproof box. The unit has to be listed for exterior use or
And
outdoor use.
the other thing I might mention is on the fire alarm side, our AHJs occasionally make mistakes. I'm sure on the sprinkler
No,
side that never happens. Isn't that right?
never. Your HJs are all experts in the code, right, Bryan?
Of course, all of them. Yeah. But as far as while we're on the topic of the outdoor bell, my time as an inspector, I think it's crucial. I think it's so important, especially um, on like garden style apartment complexes, which I'll tell you a story. So we were doing an inspection at a garden style. The whole crew's out there, fire alarm, extinguisher. I'm out there doing sprinkler and backflow, and one of the buildings that I've inspected, like the day before, the fire alarm went off, and I could hear the external bell. So I called everybody, hey, is anybody there? I'm done. It shouldn't be going off. They're like, no, no one's there. I was like, okay, let's all rush over there. So if those outside bells were not going off, I would not know that that was going on or even where it was. And there was a lady cooking. There was a kitchen fire while we were on site. Blew the kitchen sprinkler head, and of course to put out the fire and everything else in the floor. There's
Wow.
about
Wow.
an inch, 2 inches of water in there when we were walking in. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I always tell people my wife doesn't like me telling the story that my wife uses the smoke alarms to know when her food is done.
Jeez.
Fortunately, we don't have a sprinkler system. She'd be
Yeah.
testing that on a daily basis too.
Right.
Probably, I'm probably gonna get another beating for that comment if
Yeah,
fortunately, she doesn't
probably,
listen to the
maybe.
podcast.
Yeah, neither is mine.
As a fire alarm tech, the one thing I can tell you that I was always afraid of was somehow tripping the sprinkler system and having water go everywhere. Um, Dealing with that issue is a problem from
Yes.
our perspective, anyway. Uh,
Absolutely.
we had one technician who was installing fire alarm equipment, drilling a hole, and went through a wall into a sprinkler pipe, actually.
What?
Yeah, he kept drilling. He was a dedicated individual. I've drilled for a water flow device, and that's hard work, putting a water flow in a riser. So, but yeah, he ended up flooding a whole warehouse.
Oh, man. So as far as putting a water flow in a riser, when you're talking about drilling the mechanical T, drilling that hole,
Yes.
uh, yeah. So fire alarms guys do not, they don't do a lot of those. So I recommend Arco has this tool called the Hole Master. It goes up to 4 inches, and then that
Mhm.
gives you 4 levels. It clamps down, and it makes the hole cutting experience a lot
Wow.
easier. And you can do
Wow.
you can do the perfect, yeah. So you can do the a perfect cut and have it leveled, and you don't have to worry about screwing it up and replacing the pipe.
Wow.
That is cool.
Yeah, so I recommend that tool. You can maybe borrow it from a sprinkler guy if they have it, or get it for a fire alarm division manager, or buy it yourself. Yeah, I do recommend that.
Wow. I'll take a look at that one. Well, Bryan, we have a lot of interaction between sprinkler people and fire alarm people. What would you like your brothers and sisters on the fire alarm side to know about sprinkler systems? How can they do their job better and make your job easier?
Well, to me, this question's very easy. So we
Okay.
also had to put on our inspection if the supervisory or the alarms worked, right? If it's in a large building and the fire alarm tech took off where we can't hear the fire alarm going off, then we need to know that log. So if you are getting the alarms, we need to know that, especially if it's on a panel that does not keep past alarms in the history. We can't go back and
Mm,
see that or scroll through. There's no real way for me on the other side of the building to know if the alarm or the supervisor went off. Uh, Sometimes, you just have to be like, okay, I guess it worked, but that
mm.
is crucial because we could be wrong. And if we can get with the fire alarm tech at the time of their inspection and say, hey, did you get this? Hey, did you get that? That will help us with our accuracy on our inspection. But it's very hard to do it alone. If sprinkler companies or any guys watching this, please send your fire alarm techs with your sprinkler guys to do the inspection at the same time.
Absolutely. That
Great
coordination,
idea.
I agree, is really important. Yeah. And going to save us as fire alarm people struggling to test some of the devices, testing the water flow devices, the tampered
Yeah.
switches, not really a huge concern. Just remember to reopen the valve. But flow switches, are another story, particularly on dry pipe or deluge or pre-action systems. It becomes we don't necessarily understand that as well as the sprinkler people do. And I think that's where a lot of people, as Charles said, he's always, as a technician, he was always afraid of spilling water. And I can tell you it happens all the time, but having that coordination certainly makes everybody's lives a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, especially especially when you're dealing with those, I want to say, complex risers, the delusion, the pre-actions. There's a lot going
Yep.
on. Even sprinkler guys, they get intimidated, these all the piping and
Yep.
second guessing themselves like, hey, am I doing this right? So yes, that's another reason why you need to be together and work together. It's so important. And then also when it comes down to on the contracting side and the job side, this saves labor.
Yep.
And then also it keeps from having a accidental emergency.
Absolutely.
Well, there's another area of cooperation that I would like to address. And I think it'd be so helpful if on your sprinkler pipe hangers, you put a little J hook for fire alarm cable. Because everywhere you run your sprinklers, I need to run fire alarm cable as well. And boy, it'd be convenient for us if we could just hang it on your sprinkler hangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, you think it comes down to code too. I'm sure you get an argument with the sprinkler guy because he's like, "Hey, there's no foreign objects that's supposed to be touching my pipe unless like the listed alarm cable, like for example, like what they
Protective
call that
wire.
stuff? Yeah, protector wire, something like that." So then the sprinkler guys gonna just tell you, go run it somewhere else. Get your own conduit.
I know, but if we work together, we could petition NFPA to change that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah.
we'll have to get the committee that changed that wording permanent building structure in NFPA 70 to except for sprinkler
I
pipe.
mean, with the two
Right. Yeah,
Bryans,
yeah.
with the two Bryans going up against the NFPA committee, how could they possibly deny you?
That's right. How could they say no for our years of expertise?
Well, you could just have on the hanger a little D ring there, to run it. We just had to
Exactly.
change the hangers, and technically, it's not touching the pipe, which is the code. If the code is touching the pipe, so
There you
I
go.
think you'll be safe there.
Sounds like $1 million idea, Charles. Well, Bryan, I want to thank you again for joining us today, and be sure and check out the Dope and Tape show on all your favorite podcast channels, YouTube as well, Bryan.
That's right,
Primarily YouTube
YouTube.
because it is a live event.
Primary, that's right. And then it's live, so people can join the YouTube while it's live Thursdays at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we do sponsored episodes on Tuesdays. But yeah, we have questions coming in. We have about 20 to 25 live participants that come and they ask questions and they say, hello to us, welcome, thank you for doing another show, all the things that they say. Some of the things, I can't repeat, but it's a fun time.
And Bryan, you're over 200 episodes now. Is that true?
We are at episode 200. So episode 200, we want to have back on Mountain Man Paul, who's probably the hardest man in sprinkler. He's over 20 years in the industry. He lives in a bear sanctuary. He usually get outside with a spotlight, and if he hears something, he's checking for a bear. So, wait, it might be a bear. But he hangs pipe miles under the ground in a coal mine on his knees, hanging 4-inch main, drilling hangers,
Wow.
like one hard man. Yeah. So
Wow.
none of us can complain about a day's work, but he's down there with a smile on his face.
What an awesome
Incredible.
Wow.
participant in your podcast. That's fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a great
absolutely.
guy.
Well, I would also encourage our fire alarm listeners, or our Temporal 3 listeners, to check out the Dope and Tape show and learn a little bit about the sprinkler side of the business and interact with your compatriots in the sprinkler side. And Bryan, you're not going to let the sprinkler people trash the fire alarm people on your event podcast, are you?
Never, because we need you guys.
Never.
I something about fire alarm that I wanted to bring up that I mid last year, I came across it in Florida, but and I wanted to ask it to you guys, but in single family dwellings, some like condominiums, especially I think I was in Orlando, Tampa area. They were putting in a sprinkler. I was looking at blueprints. I didn't see any fire alarm, and I asked about if it's on a separate like cut sheet, and they were like, "No,
Mhm.
there's no fire alarm. There's nothing."
Wow.
And And I thought that was a terrible idea. I thought, I mean, how is that even approved? Horrible. Is it?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they probably have a requirement for smoke alarms, the 120-volt smoke alarms in those facilities, but they may not have a fire alarm requirement at all.
But
Yeah.
no notification, no outside bell,
Wow.
I think if you're loading the house with sprinkler heads, which is also loading the house with water, I think I would want to know when when something happened.
For sure.
That's just my
Absolutely.
opinion. I know you have plumbing throughout the house, but it's not, you know, facing downwards in a room. So, but that's also the future. I believe that future is fire protection in housing and on the residential side, and I would like to see fire alarm put into that as well. I think it might be a little while just because the cost of construction. No one wants to spend that extra money.
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't know.
NFPA
Hopefully, we'll see it in the future.
NFPA puts out statistics every year, and it's consistent. 90% of fire alarm or fire fatalities are residential.
Yep.
So residential
No.
sprinklers connected to a fire alarm is a great way to provide that protection.
Well, being from Florida specifically, growing up in Miami, I can tell you that I have a saying about Florida that I don't need Netflix to see Stranger Things. I'm from South
Yeah,
Florida. So
that's
nothing
true.
nothing that I hear about Florida code surprises me.
Yeah, they're a whole nother world down there.
Yes, they are like another planet, and I was talking to a fellow down there one time where they were complaining. Somebody was complaining about the alligators, and the guy says, "Oh, you guys got alligators, we got rats."
Yeah,
So in New York, so
right. Oh, you're in New York, Brian?
no, I'm in North Carolina actually, but the fellow was complaining about the alligators. One fellow was complaining about alligators in Florida. He says, "I'm from New York." He says to us, alligators are like rats in New York. They're just all over the place.
My gosh.
Well, thank you again, Bryan, for joining us. And like I said, be sure and check out the Dope and Tape Show on YouTube and participate live and get a connection for some of your fellow people in the fire protection industry. Learn a little bit, make some connections. And I want to thank you again for participating. Charles, thanks again for your participation.